Hi guys, it's Amanda here. Before I start the workshop, I just wanted to say this is a condensed version of what went out on Saturday. As some of you may know, we had a catastrophic crash and Zoom didn't record the meeting, or what little it did record was almost unwatchable. So I decided to do it again today, and I'm recording this so that I can put it out live at 8 o'clock tonight. So you'd probably be 8 o'clock now you're watching it. I will be watching along with you. So please put comments in the comments, because I will be able to type into the comments and answer any questions that you've got as you go along. I will be asking you questions as you go along. I'd really appreciate if you could get interactive and give me the answers. And I am going to make this as short as I can. I'm aiming for 30 minutes, 45 minutes maximum. In order to do that, some of the longer slides, I may not be talking over all of them. So I will be attaching a set of slides to this for you to have a look over the finer points yourself at a later date if you wish, particularly the questions about whether you have broken your brain or not, because that's really important. But for the sake of shortening it, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I don't want to keep people for too long. So without any further ado, I'm going to start the presentation now. And like I say, ask questions as you go along, comments, etc. And I'll do my very best to answer them for you. Thank you. So my name's Amanda Jane Duggan. And I'm guessing that you guys are here because something that I've said over the past few weeks has resonated with you and you want to find out a little bit more. Probably a bit like me, you have tried hundreds of different diets over the years, even maybe weight loss surgery, but you're still trying to find a way of losing weight or stopping the fear of losing control. You may just want to find out more about what this is all about and just to have a healthier life for yourself and your children. Either way, I genuinely believe that you need to know every bit of the information that I'm going to be telling you this evening, because knowledge is power. And with power, we do have an element of choice to choose a different way. Now, if we only know one way, we can only choose one way. However, today I am going to show you a different way, so you can choose if that way is for you or not. So what I will be sharing with you today is my food freedom formula. It's a formula that I have devised over the past 18 months, but it's based on a huge amount of scientific research. It's based on 50 years of pain and discovery of myself. And what's more, it works. Because 95% of people who start a diet put all of the weight that they have lost back on within 1 year. And most of them put more weight back on. So that means that only 5% of the people that have kept the weight off a year later, and we constantly beat ourselves up because we're not in that 5%. But even the people whose brains haven't been broken, 95% of them are struggling. And now most of the people that are watching this, your brains have broken, I'll explain to you today. So we need to stop beating ourselves up for not being in that 5%. But what we need to do really is to find a different way that works. Because do you feel that you are permanently on a diet and every year you're getting heavier and heavier? And today I just want to show you it is not your fault. And if you take anything away from today, it really is not your fault. I'd love to introduce you to two lovely ladies. Both of these ladies are overweight. They've been trying to lose weight for many, many years. And the only difference is that their life is very, very different. So we've got weight loss Wendy. And weight loss Wendy is constantly trying to find a way to lose weight. She's only really happy when she's lost the weight and she sees the scales move. And if she hasn't lost weight, she feels terrible. She beats herself up as useless. Wendy believes that when she loses the weight, that everything in her life will be amazing. So she's always looking for the next quick fix to get there as soon as she can. She's so full of passion and intention when she begins any weight loss plan or food plan, but she constantly falling off the wagon and hates herself for it and doesn't understand why, so much so that it gets harder and harder each time to even try. And she's almost stopped trying. She craves food constantly and cannot stop thinking about it most of the time. But she also feels that food is the one thing that gives her happiness. And she's full of fear that every day that she's going to lose control and any weight she has lost will pile back on again. And then we've got life-loving Linda. Linda concentrates on giving her body exactly what it needs to thrive, not just to survive. And she's stopped punishing her body with all these crazy quick fix diets. And her body is absolutely trusts her and is rewarding her by releasing its weight at its own pace. She understands that life's going to throw curveballs at her, but she's got a strategy and support to not let them stop her from achieving her goals. And she feels fantastic wherever she is in the weight release process because she's completely free from food cravings. And she only ever thinks about food when she's planning, preparing, or eating it. Not only that, she's totally at peace with herself. She understands who she is and her very special place in the world, and is totally comfortable and happy with that. She eats to live rather than lives to eat. Now, I want you to make a decision today. Do you want to be Wendy in the 95%, or do you want to be like Linda in the 5%? Do you want this to be just another workshop that you watch without taking action? Or do you want to step out and start in a new direction today? Because Wendy was trying the traditional mainstream diet and exercise plan. It's about the 10th time she's tried in the last 4 years. And Linda is currently working alongside me in my Food Freedom Forever Foundation that you're going to find out how you can access later in this workshop. But at this stage, you're probably wondering, who the hell am I? Some of you may know me because you've been in my world for quite some time, but some of you may never come across me at all. So I suppose the best thing and the first thing that people want to know is my professional qualifications, and that's important so that you know you can trust me. So it's a very long story short. I'm an eating disorder therapist. I'm one of the first qualified food addiction specialists in Europe. I've got qualifications as an eating psychologist. I'm a bariatric success coach. I've got Master of Neuroscience. I've got all of these things featured on Fox TV, Amazon best-selling author, but none of those, in my opinion, are what makes me really qualified to help you today. This is what makes me really qualified to help you today, in my opinion. Because I'm just an ordinary girl from Manchester who's struggled with an unhealthy relationship with food since I was about 12 years of age. And when I went on my first diet, which was the F-Plan diet, and I remember spending all my pocket money on dried apricots and seeds to make the homemade breakfast cereal. Don't know whether any of you remember that. But over the years, I've been on over 40 different diet plans, miracle pills, shakes, whatever. I've had weight loss surgery twice. And the second time around, I got a leak and I nearly died. But I still couldn't get a permanent handle on my weight. I lost 10 stone after surgery and I put 3 of it back on and struggled for 5 years with that 3 until I found the exact formula I'm going to share with you today. And I now have 2 of that 3 off and my body seems to be happy there. So am I. I'm an alcoholic in recovery for nearly 10 years. And from my recent food addiction training, I now know that sugar was, for me, my first addiction. And the alcohol for me was just grown-up sugar with a bigger buzz. So I know a lot about addiction. And today I'm going to share with you my 8 years of study, experience and pain, and explain to you what does work and why the others don't. And I'm so passionate about this. I want to help you not to have to go through all that pain I have before you get the solution. So I'm going to ask you a question. What would life be like if you were never hungry? If you didn't have food cravings, if you weren't thinking about food all the time? Would you have a weight problem? And would you be scared of losing control if you weren't hungry, you weren't craving, and you weren't thinking about food? I just want you to answer that say yes or no in the comments for me. Because that's what I'm going to tell you how life could be like. But before I do that, I want to take you on a journey. 15,000 years ago, let's take you back to the world which our bodies were designed to live in. The journey of men and women, right back to Neanderthal man or cavemen and women. Life in a typical day would be hut building, fire making, water fetching, foraging for a few berries and vegetables, and then perhaps a mixture of fishing and small animal catching, with weekly trips out for the men in the camp to catch a large beast. People would come home at the end of the day, they'd sit around the campfire together, gazing into the fire, maybe singing and chanting, and that would be their entertainment. It would be a very simple life, and a huge amount of energy would be used in just surviving and staying warm. Food was very short, and we didn't know when or where our next good meal was coming from. It could take days to get a catch, and therefore our bodies were designed to be the ultimate fat storing machine. We're designed to search out high-calorie dense foods, which was fatty meat and sweet berries and vegetables. So it's no coincidence that that's the type of food, fatty, sweet food, that we prefer today over anything else. It's because it keeps us alive. Our bodies were designed to be a fat storing machine. We had natural processes in our bodies that tried to store fat wherever possible so that we could survive the long periods of time without food. However, as soon as we ate too much and stored more fat than was necessary, our bodies had a streamlined mechanism for burning that fat and would just stop any feelings of hunger and make us so full of energy that we would move more. And therefore, the excess fat would naturally leave our bodies. It worked amazingly well. The only time it didn't work well was when we were short of food, and that was often. So our bodies were designed to search out that food, want that food at every cost. And we still have that innate mechanism in us today. However, we no longer live in that type of world. We live in a world of all-you-can-eat buffets where food's in abundance. And we also live in a world of highly processed, highly palatable foods, which are manufactured to make us crave them more and more and more. So we eat more and line the pockets of the food manufacturers. We've taken natural products like sugarcane and wheat and processed them such an extent that the sugar content in them is far too much for our bodies, and our bodies are being systemically poisoned by them. Slowly, over a period of time, our bodies are reacting with such things as type 2 diabetes, insulin resistant, ME, fibromyalgia, obesity, and other diseases of plenty rather than diseases of less than, which we used to have. However, the biggest and most dangerous outcome for this is that we are now creating a world where people are literally eating themselves to death, and it is criminal. And that mechanism that keeps our bodies fine-tuned balance is broken. The chemical reactions in your brain have changed. They are not the same as a normal, in inverted commas, person. So any mainstream diet and exercise program or even surgery that doesn't take into account these changes is incredibly unlikely to give you lasting results. So we need to do something different. Here are some of the questions to ask yourself to see if your brain has been altered and whether you need a different approach than the mainstream approach. And there are a few of them here. I'm going to go through some of them, but I'd love you just to take a minute to go through them in your head one by one and just score yourself 1 point for every one that you can answer yes to. If you've answered yes to 5 or more of these questions, then your brain chemistry has probably been changed by your eating. Whilst you're looking at those questions, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's gone wrong with our brain. So our brain is furiously trying to protect us from this barrage of highly processed, high sugar, highly palatable food that the food industry is producing with the absolute intention of getting us hooked. It's trying to adapt to this new world we live in, but in the process of adapting, it has broken our brains. Sugar is one of the most addictive chemicals ever. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine, and the withdrawal can be very difficult, and it's why so many people struggle not to eat it. The reason is so addictive is that it is a poison. It is in its refined state, it has no nutritional value, and our bodies are not designed to be able to process it correctly. So our bodies put up a barrier and adapt to try to keep you alive because it's poisoning you. It's the same as if you were being drip fed a little bit of arsenic every day. Your body would find a way of coping with the level of arsenic. And if somebody wanted to kill you, they'd have to up the level of arsenic over the period of time because your body copes with it. So in order to kill you from arsenic, they would have to keep increasing the dose so that eventually it's too much for the body. The body ends up ill. It ends up in all sorts of things like cancers and type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, etc., are all a reaction to the systemic poisoning. So as I said, the brain is trying to protect us, and it's saying, enough, I can't cope with this. I cannot processing it properly. And this fat storage machine is out to get you to survive at all costs. It will do anything to get you to survive. I mean, you need food to survive. So what it does is give you a really severe hunger instinct. It tries to store fat at all costs, and it wants you to seek pleasure. However, these are the 3 problems. What has happened when our brain has been broken is we have become highly insulin resistant as a nation. We have become highly dopamine resistant as a nation. And then I want to talk to you about something that you're probably not as aware of, which is we've become leptin resistant. Now, the first one most of you know about. If you've got foods that provide a rush of sugar into your bloodstream, and lots of foods are broken down into glucose in our bloodstream, it's the bit that gives us energy to survive and work. But if you've got too much in your bloodstream, it will send too much insulin into your bloodstream. If there's too much insulin in your bloodstream, it drags the glucose out of the blood and into the fat cells for later storage. It's a fat storing hormone. Over a period of time, we can develop insulin resistance. Now, our diet is far too rich in glucose and particularly sugars that our body can't process because they're highly processed, such as high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated vegetable oil, ordinary table sugar. The result is that we end up with too much insulin in the bloodstream, and it pulls out every bit of glucose into the fat cells too quickly. Our blood glucose then drops too low, and it tells our brain that we've not eaten, even though we've eaten far too much glucose. So massive cravings occur. When these cravings occur, it's like you feel like you don't know what to do with yourself. So you eat more, puts more glucose into your blood, puts more insulin into your blood, and it becomes a vicious circle. And we get insulin resistance. This can lead on to type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndromes, etc. Now, the next problem is dopamine. Dopamine is our reward hormone. It gives us a buzz. It makes us feel alive. It motivates us to get out of bed in the morning, and it helps us to survive. It's that hormone that's a light bulb in our body. And when we look at Neanderthal man, we used to get a dopamine rush from eating a few berries and some fatty meat. We would sit in front of the campfire singing songs, and that would give us a nice, mild, euphoric feeling. We would love being in nature. We'd do lots and lots of exercise. And that's where we're dancing, we'd cuddle each other, and that would be enough to keep our dopamine high enough to make us happy to continue living, but not too high that we were constantly after a buzz all the time. And the world we live in now is a world of excess. We're now getting it from highly processed foods and gorging. We're getting it from pornography, theme parks, rave, drugs, alcohol, all of these things. But today I'm going to be talking about the highly processed foods and sugar and what that has done to break our brain. So that produces a light that's so bright in our brain that it's not mildly euphoric, it's off the blinking scale. Everything is in excess, so much so that we are driven to do it over and over again. If we take sugar, for example, we learn that sugar makes us feel better from a really early age, that it gives us a buzz and it's an anesthetic. But the net result of eating too much sugar is that our bodies are flooded with an overproduction of dopamine and our brains just can't cope. So they've got to protect itself. It puts up a barrier and it says, no more dopamine, it's too much, it's too much. So the parts of the brain that uptake the dopamine and acknowledge we're being stimulated block it. And then, because we like that feeling, we need more and more of the same thing to get the same results. So we keep eating more sugar or more drugs or more alcohol or whatever it might be. But we keep doing it over and over again. So where one bar of chocolate would have been enough 20 years or 10 years ago, now we can eat 5 bars. We need 5 bars to feel anything like normal, let alone euphoric like this lady here. And we end up down-regulated dopamine receptors, which means that we feel depressed, we don't taste food the same. When we do eat the food, we don't get the pleasure anymore. I don't know whether any of you feel that sometimes. It's the anticipation of eating it. You know that, oh, when I get home, I'm going to have that bar of chocolate. And then when you've eaten the first couple of mouthfuls, you think, really, it just doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. And it takes only 3 weeks of regular overstimulation for these receptors to downregulate. It does not take long. But when we have irreversibly changed this, we set off a craving that's just like an itch that we just can't scratch. So we have to find a way to stop the cravings and do something different. Then we've got this insatiable hunger. Have you ever been told you're greedy and lazy? Well, you are not. That's the first thing I want to tell you. Let me tell you a story about these rats. So in a lab in America, they found a mutated rat. It was all by mistake. These rats were nothing like their siblings. They just did not move. They didn't stop eating. The only time they moved was when they moved the food trough from one side to the other, and they'd waddle over and start eating again. They were getting fatter and fatter. And in the wild, you never see a fat animal. Their bodies and brains are in total harmony, just like we used to be. So they know instinctively when to eat and when to move. They may temporarily store a little bit of fat for winter or hibernation, but they just lose it again when they wake up. They do not even know what a calorie is. They certainly don't know the calorific value of anything. They've never heard of willpower. Their bodies are so fine-tuned. They're an absolute fine-tuned fuel-burning machine. Well, these rats were different. The scientists trying to find out what was happening, they found that the rats were missing a gene. This gene was responsible for the production of a hormone called leptin. Now, leptin is the hormone that tells our brain when to send signals for us to eat and when to stop eating and start moving and use the energy we've eaten. It's produced by our fat cells. When we have too many fat cells stored, leptin is produced and it tells the brains to stop eating and start moving. So when they injected leptin into these rats, they suddenly started moving and lost the weight. They became like normal rats. And these scientists thought, holy shit, we've got this made. It's amazing. We have found the answer to the obesity crisis. Let's just produce the leptin injection. But it didn't work. Why didn't it work? We were producing leptin in fact, we were producing too much leptin because we've got too many fat cells. So why wasn't it working? What was happening? Why weren't we stop eating? Well, we're producing too much leptin and our brain doesn't believe it. It thinks it's impossible for us to be so fat. And therefore it goes, no, something's gone wrong here. We've got to block this leptin because we don't want them to stop eating, they'll die. So we're going to stop it getting into the brain because there's something not right. But the one thing we're not going to do is stop them eating. And this means that we're permanently hungry and we feel sluggish and tired and we just want to eat. But we're not greedy and lazy. Our brain is just saying enough. And our Western diet has elevated insulin levels far beyond where our bodies were ever intended to be. Our average baseline insulin levels are now 45% higher than they used to be in the 1960s. When we have an excess of insulin, it blocks the leptin being absorbed by the brain. And leptin is being blocked because it thinks we're continually starving. So we sit on the couch eating the exact food that keeps our insulin levels elevated in the first place, with this voice in our brain saying, eat, 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 like a chirping bird. So this is the problem. We've got dopamine resistance, we've got insulin resistance, and we've got leptin resistance. And this is the perfect storm to stop you losing weight and to make your body become more of a fat storage machine than it ever was before. You've become a pleasure-seeking, constantly craving, food-obsessed, ravenously hungry, immobile individual, and none of this is your fault. The consequence of this is weight gain, illness, and all these other things, including low self-esteem, because we continually beat ourselves up because we think it is our fault. But Weight Loss Wendy says it doesn't really matter about any of that. All I want to do is lose the weight. I just want to lose the weight and then everything will be absolutely fine. So we try to change the consequences. We try another quick fix because we're desperate. Let's just stop the weight and it'll all sort itself out. But Life Loving, when Linda just says, no, we've got to stop trying to change the consequences. We need to change what's causing them in the first place. We put the glasses on the other way around. We concentrate on health and happiness and put our bodies into healing mode instead of stress mode. We have been doing things that make our body stressed, including weight loss surgery, is probably one of the worst. It's strain on the body that it has. Having these quick fix diets, our body doesn't know to trust us. Our brain doesn't know it can trust us to feed it every single step of the way. So it is holding on to this fat in ever increasing efforts because it's scared that you're going to go on one more quick fix diet next week and it can't trust you that you're going to give it the nutrition and care that it needs to stay in that regulated body state that we're naturally designed to be. If we can do that, it can go back to being the way it was in Neanderthal man, and the consequences take care of themselves and they stay away. So the food freedom formula does these things. It helps to heal those dopamine receptors. It gets your leptin uptake started again, stops the cravings, stops the obsession around food and the constant thinking about it, stops being hungry all the time, stops you self-loathing and puts your body in a trust state because it's being loved and not punished, and heals your brain. Can you imagine what it would feel like? In order to do this, there are 4 things that I'm absolutely passionate need to be in place. We need to look at what we're putting in our bodies and what is triggering each of us to have that constant craving, what I call an allergy. It changes the way our body reacts when we put it in our body. We are powerless once we've put some of these foods in our body because those chemical reactions are triggered in us and there's nothing we can do about it. All bets are off. So we have to look at the food plan. It's so important. Then we need to look at why we keep having these constant thoughts all the time. over the years, oh my God, the punishment and the name calling we've given ourselves because of this continual trying to be in that 5%, doing it the same way, has meant that we just eroded. Most of the time, our self-esteem is so eroded that we need to look at that. And we've got this man here that doesn't make life easy for us at all. And then the other thing we need is fellowship and community of people that completely get it because they think and feel the same way we do. And that's really important because I don't flow down the road who knows how to lose half a stone while using the cabbage diet. You know, we could poke her eyes out. She hasn't got a clue what it feels like to be like us, not a clue. So we need to be around people who do, so we're not alone and we can love and care for each other every step of the way. So that this allergy I talk about, this food plan, it can't be about calories. It can't be about shakes and diet pills and miracle pills, because that's just putting your body in stress all the time and eventually it's going to kick back. We have to cure the brain and body chemistry that's been broken. And in order to do that, we've got to heal those dopamine receptors so that they start to feel joy again from natural things rather than looking for highs and lows all the time. We need to do something about that leptin. So we've got to get our insulin levels down so that the leptin can start again. So we get in the natural signals to stop eating and start moving. In order to do that, we've got to stop the cravings and the obsession around food and the constant thinking about it and stop being hungry all the time. However, it's not quite as simple as just the food. We've got to eat to live, and everybody's got different food triggers, I know that, and you need to work on a program that helps to heal your brain. Don't get me started about willpower. We have 262 food choices a day. How are we ever going to keep saying no to those long enough to lose this weight permanently? A craving is always going to win over willpower for lasting weight loss. So the only way is to stop the cravings from happening in the first place. 262 food choices a day, and you're going to keep saying no, 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 no. It's not going to last. But we've also got this mental obsession. So this is the parts of the brain. We've got to get rid of those food thoughts, the uncontrollable thinking about food. And most of those, 80% of those food thoughts are coming from your subconscious brain, which is lying below the surface that you're not even aware of. And we think it's our human thinking brain that's in charge, but it isn't. Because the human thinking brain is the only part that can think about cause and effect. But the 80% of our brain is choices are coming from our subconscious. And all that cares about is keeping you alive, safe, and out of pain. And it doesn't care how it does it. So it thinks from history that food can do that. And it did for a long time, but it's broken. Your brain's broken, so it's not working properly now. The problem is that this subconscious brain influences your conscious brain by talking to you in your own voice. So you think that it's your decision when actually it's not. It's being driven by these things in your brain, your monkey brain, your unicorn brain, and your computer brain. Now, I did a short live about this. You can catch that up if you look at Is My Brain Sabotaging My Weight Loss? So I'm not going to go through that again tonight, but please watch that video if you get a chance, because it will explain more about it and you will find out so much about these guys on my program. It's so important for you to understand what is happening, because these parts of your brain are trying to keep you alive in their own way, but they're fighting each other. They all have their own personal agenda, which is not in tune with your human thinking agenda anymore. Because they're talking to you in your own voice, you think it's your choice. So we need to get this badly behaving brain working with your human brain so they're all nice and calm, just like this. Plus, the years of dieting has taken its toll on your self-esteem. And let me introduce you to this missing link. This is Gollum. If you watch Lord of the Rings and he's going, oh, my precious, my precious. This man here, this little lovely man that lives and resides within your brain, He makes you behave in your lower self against your better good. He will make you dishonest, selfish, self-centered, fearful, inconsiderate of others. He will erode your self-esteem. He will send you crazy food thoughts. He will get you, all he wants is to get you on your own with a tub of ice cream so he can get his precious. As long as he gets his precious, he does not care how. But that just erodes everything about your self-esteem. How often have you lied about your food, stolen food from others, broken promises to yourself and others every day? I promise I'm going to do this. And then by the evening, you sat there eating chocolate again. So you need a program that will help to build your self-esteem. It lets you embrace who you are and become able to listen to the intuition inside you, that part of you that's got all the answers for your highest good. If only you're not being hijacked by these food thoughts, cravings, and hunger. And you need to know that you are enough. Embrace yourself in every part of you, whatever size you are. Because if you can't embrace yourself now, you're not going to embrace yourself when you've lost the weight, because I can promise you, it's like waking up on your 13th birthday and feeling why you don't feel different when you're a teenager. When that scale suddenly says a certain number, it doesn't change how you feel inside. But if you can change how you feel inside, then you've got no need to put that weight back on, because you're happy with yourself as you are. And that's a huge part of this program of recovery. But I think the most important part is this. Isolation kills, and Gollum wants you on that settee with your drug of choice, be it crisps, chocolate, ice cream, whatever that might be. So you really must get help. Even if you don't get help from me, please promise me that from today, you will get help from somewhere, because you need to be in a community of like-minded people, people whose brains have been broken too, people that may think that perhaps they need to do this a different way. Not people that just need to lose half a stone to get into that black dress for Christmas, because their brains haven't been broken. They can do it a different way. They can do it the mainstream way. They're part of the 5%. But you need to be with people that get you, that understand that you've taken, like I have, chocolates out of the bin and eaten them. Understand that you've stolen the kids' Easter eggs and not replaced them because you just couldn't get back to the shops in time. Not because you're a bad person, but because you are absolutely, your chemistry in your brains is broken. And once you start to eat these substances that trigger you, you can't stop. You are powerless to stop. And if you come on this journey with me, you will become part of your food freedom family. You will have daily contact with other people who feel the same about you. You're going to have accountability, like-minded professionals and peers, support meetings, and just love and kindness to get you where you need to go. No judgment, no shame, no guilt, just learning opportunities and love and kindness to continue down the road. That's what you need. So, the solution. Are you ready? Are you ready for change? Are you ready to become a life loving Linda? I want to show you the path to food freedom. This program works on the physical allergy and triggers with your food plan, the mental obsession with masterclasses and worksheets and activities on behavior and eating psychology, the spiritual sickness, because you're going to learn to work in your higher self and develop appropriate self-esteem, again with masterclasses and activities, and the isolation from the support and kindness of like-minded professionals and peers all along the way. Show you some of the results over the last 4 months. The average weight loss has been 24 pounds and the highest is 40. The average inches lost is 8.5 and the highest inches lost is 15. Cravings have reduced from an average of 8 out of 10 to 2 out of 10, and reduced food thoughts from 8 out of 10 to 3 out of 10. Many people say they've gone from 10 to 0 on both of those. Better sleep, better skin, better digestion, It feels like the fat's melting away, so many people say. Those places where they couldn't lose fat before, they're suddenly losing them from. Just a couple of testimonials, because I'm trying to keep this short and sweet tonight, but I'll give you more during the week. Lucy says, without this program, I'd still be in a merry-go-round doing the same wrong eating patterns. I've learned so much about myself and how to change the way I eat, and I don't feel like I'm missing out. Long way to go, but it's all a learning curve. Thank you, Amanda, for helping me to find the real me and how to enjoy life again. Rose says, can't recommend this program highly enough. I have been on a diet since the age of 13. I'm now 61. You name it, and I've done it. Since working with Amanda, I'm eating well, losing weight steadily, and no longer constantly obsessing about food. The support is there, and it certainly helps to realize you're not alone and other people have the same issues around food as you. It really is food freedom, freedom from food. Tomorrow, I'm going to be showing you an interview that I did with Miriam, one of our ladies who was on the original training, but we did another one this afternoon. She lives in, I can never say it, Azerbaijan. I've probably said that wrong. So she couldn't come on in this evening, but we have done an interview, and I'm going to be showing you that tomorrow. So this program's broken down into a few stages. The first stage is a 90-day intensive program. This first 90 days of any new program are the hardest. It's when you need the most support. So after 90 days, you have created new habits and you've permanently changed the neural pathways in your brain. And that's really important because the psychology part of this will do that. So after 90 days, you've made such a big difference in healing that brain chemistry. So the first 90 days is the most intensive part. And the first stage starts with a brain and body reboot. That starts on Saturday, the 30th of October. And it detoxes you gradually from all of the craving-inducing foods. It starts on that Saturday so that you can do some of the activities and worksheets over the weekend and look at some of the videos. And over the weekend, you're just slowly weaning yourself off certain things, but eating normal food. And then we carry on over the 14 days and we do a real intensive detox. The structured food plan and recipes, loads of daily activities, just short little videos to watch and do a small activity each day. I've really changed this. If any of you have done the reboot with me before, it's much more punchy together and really isn't quite as overwhelming as it used to be. So you will love this. The booster weight loss is average £10. And you get now your own sign into the Food Freedom Forever portal to access all of the information. It will just pop up there each day and say, today you need to watch this video and do this task. Very, very easy. And then you're going to go into the second stage, which is the repair phase. Now, this is a 28-day brain and body phase. You get a structured food plan to follow with weekly support meetings, masterclasses and activities which are recorded to watch on your own. So they've gone from being every day or every other day to every week because you don't need quite as much hand-holding by this time. But this is devised to heal your brain from the chemical damage. You're not going to be able to heal it completely, but you can stop it and you can start to heal some of it. You're going to learn about your personalized food and behavior triggers. And this part's all loads of practical advice, like how to eat out, cooking for family, batch cooking, and planning how to resume if you've had a little slip and gone off the plan, supermarket shopping, what to look on food labels, all of those things to help you. And then the third stage is the reveal and release stage. And this is another 6 weeks where you continue to release your weight, you personalize your plan, you reveal all of your behavioral, food and psychological triggers because your brain's starting to get healed so you can really see what does and doesn't work for you. Again, there's weekly support groups and fortnightly masterclasses and activities. After that, you're going to go into the Food Freedom Forever Foundation membership. And this program, this 12-week program, gives you 9 months free of Food Freedom membership so that you can continue that as and when you want for the next 9 months, just dipping in and out, coming to support meetings, being accountable, You're going to get monthly magazines with articles and challenges. There's somebody always there to help support you. And each month you're going to fill a feedback form in, and we will see if you need to move on to the next stage or change your food plan, whatever you need to do. So all in all, you've got 12 months support, starting off really, really intense. And as you go further and further down, just when and if you want, but there's always somebody there to catch you if you feel like you're falling. So here's some of the monthly magazines. This is what they look like. You get one of these every month with recipes and challenges, articles to read, which link to videos. Some of the recipes you can see here. So you get recipes every month. We give you a plethora of recipes, and there's also going to be a recipe search action now where you can search for certain recipes, and masterclasses and activities that come out to you through the portal and in the magazine each month too. So loads of things for you to do if you wish. If you don't, it's up to you. You pick up what you want and you leave the rest. Now, the full price value for this, when I added everything up, if I was to sell it separately, would be £1,500. However, I really want to help as many people as possible. And I had decided that I was going to sell this for £999 for the year, or for the 3-month program with 9 months free in the membership for afterwards. But for the next few days, to members of this group or people watching this because they've signed up to the masterclass, so you're getting the repay, I'm actually putting it on for half price. So it is now £499, or you can pay it in 12 equal monthly installments of £49.99. So all you would have to do is pay £49.99 today for all of that, all of those masterclasses, magazines, all of that support, food plans, personalized, everything that I'm giving you today that really is going to give you the opportunity to do this a completely different way that works. You need to go to www.amandajaneduggan.com/offer. So it's myname.com/offer, and you can enroll there. It starts on the 30th of November, and you will have 48 hours until Tuesday midnight. This offer is open only, and then I will be sending it out to the general public. There are only 50 places available, and the first 5 people to sign up will win a personal food plan session with me at the end of the repair phase. So you get a whole power hour with me as well. It's an incredible offer, and like I say, only 50 places available, so be quick because they will go incredibly quickly. Just to finish, I can't promise you a quick fix. In fact, I don't want to promise you a quick fix because quick fixes have never lasted before. I can promise you lasting change that takes effort, but it takes time and it takes dedication. But it's so worth it because once you've cracked it, you've cracked it. I can't promise you that you'll lose a stone a month. I can't promise you your prince or princess is going to come over the hill with a white charger and pick you up and wish you away. But I can promise you a freedom like you have never felt before. And I can promise you a way to get into your right size body and stay there. A way of living that will enable you to live a life without the need to fix yourself with food. And more than anything, I can promise you love and support to help you every step of the way, regardless of how much you may struggle. So it says Sunday night there. It's not, it's Tuesday night because of the problem that we had yesterday with the video. So after that, the next, that also should say January, is not going to be till January. So if you need to sign up now, or else you're not going to get a chance until January. If you've got any questions, please tell me what, and I will do my best to answer them. And I really cannot wait to help support you on this journey. It's going to be amazing and you will love it. Absolutely love it. Take care.